How you doing, Ty?
Good.
Have you just had a chance to talk with Brad last couple of days? He's probably dealing with a wave of emotions, as Lawrence mentioned.
Yes.
What's kind of just been expressed between you guys that you can share?
No, I just told him, just prayers to him. Put in the work, all preseason, just trying to get back and trying to get right. And this happens, and just so you feel bad, when these type of things happen to any player, whether it's on your team or across the league. And so, just feel bad for him. Like I said, just praying for him that recovery is speedy and he'll get back to being himself. And so, we'll see what happens.
You guys obviously constructed this roster. Lost a guy like Norman. Hoped that Brad would fill that in. And where do you kind of go from here as far as that shooting guard position, that the guy who can put pressure on the rim? Where do you guys go with that?
Yeah, I think we got to do it by committee. I don't think it's going to be one guy. Norm, I said last year was great for us, in Kawhi's absence. And, like I said, Bradley Beal has that same offensive explosion, and so for him to suffer like this, it's just tough for the team. It's tough for our guys to hear about this, especially from a guy who's a great guy and, tried everything he could to get back on the floor.
Ty, when it comes to John, now that he's starting, what does an offense look like featuring him? Like, is he someone that you can envision playing through to not just be a finisher, but to potentially get to the point where he can be a guy who creates his own shot and shots for others?
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out now. I think the biggest thing for him that he would accumulate more shots is just his spacing. Just understand like spacing the floor, especially when you're on the floor with Zoo and James. There's not really a lot of room, in that paint area or that 15-foot area. So just understanding how we need to play in the spacing situations. And I think, out of timeouts, just going to him, let him be involved off out of timeouts, getting him good shots to be good. But like just understanding him, his game, and him understanding our game as well.
Just a follow up to that, like you mentioned that your training camp was, about Brad and James and Kawhi, like that identity. How do you go about redefining or reconfiguring your identity now that you know what it is for the rest of the year, at least with Brad?
Yeah, I don't know why people are so shocked. It happens every year. We go through the same thing every year. And, just unfortunate that we're dealing with the situation we're dealing with. So, we're accustomed to it, having to play different styles of basketball, guys being out, having the slow starts that we just got to figure out our rotations and who we need to play. But it's been something that's been happening since I've been here, and so we'll figure it out and just go from there.
Coach, with you guys being so snake-bitten early and the early season struggles, what's the psyche of the locker room right now with the guys?
We're in a good place, a good position mentally. We got to, get a win. That's our main goal. But I think, the coaches are showing a lot of confidence in these guys. These guys are showing confidence. We know we got to do some things better. We know we're shorthanded, and we don't have a lot of margin for error. We understand that. And so we've had these slow starts ever since I've been here. I can't remember a good start we've had, but we always figure it out, and so teams always scrap and compete. We always find a rhythm. We always find a rotation, and we always find the right guys, and so it's nothing new to us, and so we just got to be patient, and we'll figure it out.
Ty, you mentioned the slow starts year after year. There's been a lot of fan angst about the start this season just because how poorly everything has looked on the floor, not just record-wise. Do you have a message to the fans at all, regarding what has taken place over these first 10 games?
What's their message?
What is their message?
Yeah, what'd you say?
There's a lot of fan angst, like upset about the way that the team has started.
Shit, I'm upset too. it is what it is. When you don't have your best player, your third best player in Brad, who's been out, it's tough. And when you structure, a training camp, preseason around certain guys and your core guys, and they're not there, it takes some time to kind of, get used to other guys taking on new roles they haven't been in before. And it takes a little time. So just my biggest thing is just, stay patient, be patient. We've been through this before as fans, as coaches, as players, as an organization. And so it's no different. We'll figure it out, and we'll be okay.
And if I can, what's been the message from Lawrence and Steve, over these first 10 games to you? Their positive mindset about it, or just anything they've told you?
Positive. If anyone can do this, it's you. You've done it before. You've done it ever since you've been here. And we got full confidence you'll get it done. So that's my job and responsibility, but we'll see.
Ty, looking at tonight's opponent and specifically how the Nuggets start their games, how do you want your team to start tonight?
I think, the defensive mindset, I thought last game we came into it with the right mindset. I thought we lost a few three-point shooters, when they made a run and came back. Had some misassignments that we got to get better with. But I thought our intent was great, and tonight we got to have the same mindset. Like, we can't get beat in transition. We know, Joker's going to look to outlet the ball down the floor, attack early. So we got to get back and take care of that. And we take care of that, I think we'll be in good shape.
Ty, you've mentioned several times now that this is something you guys are used to, and it's something you guys have dealt with quite a bit with players being in and out. But is there almost like a reverse side of that as well, where it's like, here we go again, we're dealing with this again? Guys, like Zoo, who's been here for a while, even James, who's been here for the last few years, like they're now having to, again, take on more than maybe they were expecting to. Yeah,
It is what it is. It happens. We're not the only team that suffers from injuries, and so it happens. But it is frustrating, and so we just got to get past the frustration. We got to continue to keep plugging away. And like I said, like Justin said before, our fans, like I said, they've been behind us this long, and we've been through this, so they've seen this story time and time again. So to jump off the bandwagon right now is not fair. We're gonna be okay, and so just got to continue to keep putting the work in. We got to find new styles and new ways to play until we get our guys back.
Ty, there are guys who are on the floor with James and Kawhi and Zoo, and they're not necessarily looking to create offense when they're out there, but now they have to. So what's your conversation been like with some of the guys who have to make up for that?
I think the biggest thing is just, with James and Zoo, just trusting the young guys, trusting the guys who are on the floor that haven't been used to making plays, and so we use the terminology all the time, they can eat, but they can't cook, a lot of guys. And so they haven't been in that position before, and so that's the thing I'm talking about, just having the patience with these guys to get better, to take on responsibilities they haven't been a part of, and done on other teams. And so, we're asking a lot, and so they're giving everything they have. I'm not frustrated with those guys at all, and they're going to continue to get better, and so we're asking guys to do some things they haven't done before, and we understand that. So it's going to be turnovers. There's going to be some things that, that doesn't look right, but, we got to keep building those guys up, keep giving those guys confidence, and it'll work out.
Ty, CP and Bogey have been kind of out of the rotation lately, but do you see those guys getting back into some of the rotation?
Yeah, I see opportunity for that. Yes, sir.
And just a follow up to that, Kobe Sanders being healthy, Jordan Miller getting back healthy. What are you asking those guys to do to be ready to play, and if they get an opportunity to keep that opportunity?
Yeah, I think defensively where it starts for those young guys. I think their activity on the defensive end. I think understanding what we're doing offensively, because the young guys, they actually do it right and do it the right way. So just playing the right way, but I think their mindset has to be first defensively, and then everything else will take care of itself.
What was some of the, watching the tape back and talking with Cam and Kobe, they played significant roles last game, probably will again tonight. What's some of the conversation about what they're being asked to do and how they can kind of improve on those things?
Yeah, just defensively, just continue to keep getting better. They had a few breakdowns, which we gave up some threes. One off the pin down, one they both was running back in transition, both ran to the corner. We get another three, and just the communication, just defensively and being good at that. Offensively, it is what it is. They know their roles and what they're supposed to do. We're not asking those guys to come and, be something that they're not, but defensively is where they have to make their mark.
Does the defensive communication, do you need more when you have new guys like that enter a rotation?
Yes, sir.
Where does that come from?
The floor, the coaches, the players, communication.
Thank you.
Let's get ready for Hoopjab.